Hello, welcome to Midday Live on TV3. That's coming to you from our studios here at Adesawe Kanda, Accra. My name is Grace Hamwa-Asari. You can also watch us on DSTV channel 279. Let's start with the World Cup updates. Welcome back. So my colleague Yao Ofosulabi has joined me for updates on World Cup. Yao, I think yesterday the highlight for the matches was Nigeria and then Iceland. What is the euphoria so far? Which matches are we expecting today? Well,
it was exciting yesterday. I saw the game somewhere in Tiptoe Lane with a couple of Nigerians, and it was really exciting. I think that story will come on later when sports comes on, but it was really exciting to see the Nigerians very ecstatic, very happy to see their side win their first game at the World Cup. And right now it puts them in good standing to qualify to the next stage, because then they would have to either draw or beat Argentina in the final group game. So it looks very good for Nigeria. But just now, Belgium is about to start their game playing with Tunisia, another African side also in there. So a lot of Tunisia's World Cup hopes also hangs on this game. They need to win this game to try to stay in contention in qualification to the next stage. So it will be a very hard task for Tunisia, but hopefully they can be able to sail through. Later at 2 p.m, Mexico will take on Korea Republic. And then Germany, the world champions who won the World Cup in 2014, they lost their first game to Mexico and will be looking to make amends against Sweden. So very tough games today. And for all it's worth, I think that a lot of attention will go on that Germany game and how they can be able to resuscitate from that first loss that they incurred in their first game of the World Cup.
Thank you very much. That was my colleague Yao Ofosulabi, who'll bring you more on the World Cup when it's time for sports. But let's do some other stories now. And the District Director of Education for East-Sujaman, Mavis Oparibia Yuenchi, has called for more public-private partnership in improving educational infrastructure. She was reacting to the state of infrastructure survey line Jekiti and Enyinase, all in the East-Sujaman district of the Eastern region, where pupils continue to study under dangerous structures.
Survey Line is a settler community in the Sujaman district of the Eastern region with a population of about 2,000 people. The community, however, lacks basic infrastructure for education. Most classes, including kindergarten, are being held in congested and dilapidated structures. Similar infrastructural challenges cut across Jekiti and Anyase, affecting enrollment. The Sujaman District Assembly, in partnership with Pencil of Promise organization, has begun fixing these problems. A 3-unit classroom block with office and washroom has been completed for the Survey Line community. A 6-unit classroom block for the Anyase Presby Primary School is nearing completion. This Jekiti Presby JHS block is at the foundation level. The 200,000 cedi project is to be completed within 6 months with the library and staff common room.
I encourage the community leaders and parents to support in maintenance of the facility to ensure that the building lasts long.
Presiding member for the Sujaman District Assembly, Samuel Kwame Jekum, assured the people of their commitment to improve educational facilities.
The Assembly is putting measures in place to improve the quality of education in the district through the collaboration of the District Education Oversight Committee to drive education to the level we all desire.
Head teacher of Survey Line School, Isaac Amu Asari, expressed delight at the gesture.
What a great relief. I want to assure all that this building will be properly handled and maintained for effective teaching and learning.
Paramount Chief of Jekiti, Nana Manfi Utuabing, commended the Assembly for acting promptly to save education in the area.
Now, the Association of Magistrates and Judges of Ghana has called on President Akufo-Addo to intervene and ensure a review of the salaries of lower courts judges. President of the association, Justice Victor Ofoyi, says he is struggling to convince his members to remain in the courts as a review has been outstanding since 2014.
The Judicial Council in 2014 made recommendations to the presidency for the salary review. Government has failed over the last 4 years to review the salaries of lower court judges despite several calls. The lower court judges over the period have served notice of embarking on strike, but have always heeded to calls not to.
If the system for reviewing salaries appears to be breaking down, what the lower court judges are saying that, then our resolve not to go on strike should also break down. That resolve should break down. We should allow them to go on strike.
The association says it has been forced to even rely on Chief Justice Ofoye Kufu to get the president to act. This, they contend, has not yielded much, thus forcing the association to speak on the matter. President of the association, Justice Ofoye, wants the president to take a personal interest in the matter.
We will be taking a decision on the 6th of July. The matter is a very simple one. Fortunately, the president we have is a lawyer. He knows what judges go through. So we expect that solution to come from the president as quickly as possible.
He again says they will embark on strike next month if nothing is done.
The Health Services Workers Union has asked the Ministry of Health to urgently implement the agreement for the biolab scientists or risk another strike in the coming weeks. The union says it is disappointed the sector ministry has failed to convene a meeting with stakeholders to implement the agreement.
Deputy General Secretary of the Health Services Workers Union, Franklin Wusu-Ansa, expressed concern about the delay in implementing the agreement. In the agreement, the Ministry of Health, through Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, is to ensure proper placement of the biomedical lab scientists. It again stipulates that the sector ministry should set up a directorate for the biomedical lab scientists across the country. Key issue in the agreement is addressing concerns on salary distortions of the biomedical lab scientists. However, the Health Services Workers Union, which is the mother union, says the implementation has been too slow. Its Deputy General Secretary, Franklin Wusu-Ansa, said any further delay could trigger unrest.
Strikes are not called off, they are suspended. And for that matter, I would say the strike is suspended. And for that matter, our fears is that if government delays and drags its feet, these members will resume that strike action. And you know, when two elephants fight, it's the grass that suffers. If they go on strike, it is you and me, our family members, Ghanaians, that will suffer. And this is what we want to make sure that it doesn't happen.
In another development, the union has implored government to increase its investment in the health sector. It recalled the Abuja Declaration, which compels African governments to at least invest 15% into the health sector.
Collective agreement was negotiated in 2015, signed, and the implementation was supposed to take place from the 1st of January 2016. As we speak, some institutions, very few of them, have implemented bits and pieces of it. The current minister issued a statement that it should be implemented from 2017, but he didn't even consult anybody. But can you sign an agreement, say that it will be implemented in 2016, and then later one party decides that I will want to implement it on this date without consultation?
Away from issues of strike, legal practitioner Kwame Jantua says government must take serious steps to end Accra's perennial flooding once and for all. Speaking on New Day, Mr. Jantua insists Ghana cannot continue to lose precious lives to flooding whilst governments consistently fail to act.
In situations like this that affect the ordinary man, where Ghanaians are dying, I expect the president to come and speak to the nation and tell us what he's doing where the sector minister is concerned.
But the AMA boss spoke.
Who appointed the AMA boss?
You know what that's too high.
Who appointed the AMA boss? Doc, I'm asking a question. Who appointed the AMA boss?
No, we know the answer.
The president cannot speak to everything.
Why can't he speak to everything? What is this? I don't understand that. You cannot speak to everything, but this affects the Ghanaian. Somebody's family has lost their mother. Somebody's family. Children have lost their mother. Now, Abna, this whole thing boils down to physical indiscipline of the economy. Physical indiscipline and overspending. That is what it boils down to. Because what? We are waiting for loans. The loans aren't coming. IMF are saying you can't do this. And then we are dying in our own
the magic word corruption, which will lead me to
it's all part and parcel of it.
The next
we
topic.
should try as much as possible. When we get to a point where we are going to overspend, we stop like Chile does. Tell the people we cannot go on. Yes, we said this in our manifesto, but we cannot because we don't have the money. Yes. That's it.
Parties are voted into power with a responsibility and a mandate. And one of them is that this administration, just as previous administration, is going to be measured and scored based on its performance in dealing with some of these issues.
Right.
And I would have expected that by now, at least, the sector minister responsible for the insurance that we don't have floods should have come to speak to the nation. What plans are being put in place to what? To address the issue. Mind you, we haven't even done a quarter of the rainy season. We are still in June. We are yet to get to July. And as I said before, I mean, it could even extend to other parts of the country. So government must be held accountable. And they must be responsible to what? To the citizenry. This whole cliche of the individuals taking responsibility. Yes, individuals have a responsibility, but they must be made to be responsible by government. I have a responsibility to ensure that my children do the right thing. So when the mandate is given to government, which is the current administration, its responsibility is to ensure that things are done right. And the citizens must always hold government responsible and accountable.
Let's go to the presidency now, where President Akufo-Addo has received letters of credence from 4 envoys to begin their duty tour in Ghana. The envoys were from Morocco, Ukraine, Portugal, and Tunisia.
Ambassador Mohamed Farahat was first to present his letters. He pledged to prioritize some 25 agreements signed during the February 2017 visit to Ghana by His Majesty King Mohammed V of Morocco. President Akufo-Addo pledged to work with him to strengthen relations between the two countries. Next was the Ukrainian ambassador, Dr. Valery Alexandruk. He pledged to strengthen economic and investment cooperation between the two countries. President Akufo-Addo pledged government support to strengthen relations between the two countries. Also at the presidency to present his letters of credence was Tunisian envoy Jabel Trabelsi. The ambassador promised to work towards developing stronger bilateral relations with Ghana. Portuguese ambassador Antonio Pedro Davina was the last to present his credentials. He pledged to strengthen bilateral relations between Portugal and Ghana.
Let's stay a while longer at the presidency because President Akufo-Addo has charged 2 new Ghanaian envoys, Gloria Opoku, ambassador to Senegal, and Jane Gasu Aheto, ambassador to Guinea, to look for business promoting opportunities between Ghana and the countries they are to serve during their duty tour. President Akufo-Addo also charged them to guard the image of Ghana jealously.
I, Jane Gasu Aheto,
do in the name of the Almighty God swear.
Do in the name of the Almighty God swear.
The 2 envoys are Gloria Opoku, Ghana's ambassador to Senegal, and Jane Gasu Aheto, Ghana's ambassador to Guinea. The 2 ambassadors are both career diplomats. President Akufo-Addo reminded them that the attraction of foreign direct investment from the countries where they have been designated into Ghana is key to the development of the private sector of the country's economy.
The promotion of intra-regional and intercontinental trade is a major objective of Ghanaian policy. Look out in your areas of representation for any opportunity to promote business between Ghana and your countries of accreditation. Both the regional community of ECOWAS and the continental community under the AU will be strengthened by a rapid growth in trade and investment exchanges between their members.
Ghana's ambassador to Guinea, Jane Gasu Aheto, assured the president they will work very hard to make their duty tour a success.
In terms of the magnitude of the task ahead, we are under no illusion, Your Excellency, that it would be an easy one. We, however, assure you that you can entrust us with this noble and high assignment. We know we can count on you, Mr. President, the Foreign Minister, and all the stakeholders who matter to ensure a successful tour of duty.
Away from the presidency, let's go to the Bongahafu region, where the Snafu North Municipal Assembly in the region has provided assorted items valued 87,000 Ghana cedis to 143 persons living with disabilities. The aim is to help the persons with disabilities own their businesses and live a decent life. Reports by Johnson Techi.
The Asunafu North Municipal Social Welfare Director, Prince George Fofoy, says the ultimate aim of the government is to ensure the common fund allocation for the persons with disability is no more paid on tables, but to provide the sustainable jobs to make them independent. Prince George Fofoy talks about the government's new interventions for persons with disability.
The data collected by the Department of Social Welfare and Community Development, that was last year, on the persons with disability, with the support from the Common Fund Administration, a total of 824 persons with disability have been registered in this municipality. And based on this, 3% of the Common Fund is allocated to be used to support them to be on their own. That's by letting them fend for themselves rather than being on the street to beg for funds.
The municipal chief executive of the Asunafu North Assembly, Yao Oseiboahin, said the assembly has targeted a period of 2 years in which it would provide all physically challenged persons with startup kits to begin their own businesses. The items include DSTV and its accessories, set of carpentry tools, popcorn machines, refrigerators, hair dryers, tailoring machines, provisions and leather works equipment. Others are health, support and education. The persons in this category were issued with checks. The Asunafu North MCE, Yao Oseiboahin, has more to tell.
This time we decided that let's go in for items where the people themselves, after doing the need assessment, where the people themselves will determine out, this is what I want to do. If somebody tells you, I want to sell ice water, what's the basic ingredients of selling ice water? It's fridge. So that's why we decided to acquire a deep freezer.
One of the physically challenged persons proved beyond doubt that they can make the difference with financial support by demonstrating her articles, which included weaved handbags and necklaces. Ama Foriwa, physically challenged person, commended the president for his support.
Now, the Maritime and Dock Workers Union has withdrawn its allegations leveled against the chairman of the Ghana Port and Harbours Authority, Peter McMenu. At a news conference in Accra, the union said the allegations were unfounded and has since apologized to the board chairman.
The union apologized to the board chairman for accusing him of engaging in financial malfeasance. It also said the allegations that he was fronting for a contract for his family were unfounded and pleaded with the board chairman to forgive them. The union assured the public it would collaborate with the board chairman during its upcoming negotiations.
We as a union with a role to protect public interest would not shirk our responsibility as watchdogs of accountability in the governance of public institutions. We think there must be peace and solidarity with our social partners at the workplace to achieve our goals. We are sorry for the embarrassment and the inconvenience our press conference might have caused Mr. Peter McMenu and members of his family.
Last week, some members of Maritime and Dock Workers Union MDU in Takrade, they lashed out at the board chairman of GPHA, Peter McMenu, for duping the port. The board chairman has since threatened to file a legal suit against the union.
Let's do some other stories now. And the Interior Minister Ambrose Derry has set up a 9-member committee to look into the police and military clashes in Tamale last month. The committee is to submit its report on 31st August 2018.
On May 16, the police and military personnel clashed in Tamale, leading to personnel of the Ghana Police Service abandoning their duty posts. Reports indicate that the attack started after a soldier was arrested by the police for assaulting his wife. Following the incident, the Interior Minister Ambrose Derry has set up a 9-member committee to investigate the incident and bring the perpetrators to book. The committee members comprise of both military and police personnel, with Victoria Esiedua, a state attorney, as its chairperson.
To investigate the immediate and remote causes of the clashes between the police and the military in Tamale on 16 May 2018. Second, to investigate the causes of any other police and military clashes that have occurred within the past 5 years, any actions taken and lessons learned. To make recommendations for sanctions against those found culpable and appropriate compensation to deserving victims of the clashes.
A member of the committee, Brigadier General Kwame Opon-Chicheku, retired, promised to discharge their duty diligently.
If it happens that the two security agencies in this country, the police service and the armed forces, are at war, then it's not going to be possible to achieve any development because there will be no peace in this country. So we are going to study the terms of reference as indicated and also look at the mandate that we are beginning, and we'll work within the laws of this country.
The committee have up to August 31 to make their reports available.
Away from that, the National Commission for Civic Education, NCCE, has made a case for Ghana's democracy to be protected, saying it is crucial to the country's development. The chairperson of the commission, Josephine Nkrumah, says the NCCE has devised innovative plans to strengthen civic consciousness for informed decision-making. A report by Ibrahim Abubakar.
Speaking at an advocacy workshop for media practitioners in Kumasi, the NCCE boss called on the media to support the commission to strengthen civic consciousness among the public. She said it is only when the public is aware of their civic rights and responsibilities that they will contribute to national development.
We have come to that crossroads where civic apathy is at its highest. So we should, in promoting anything that builds true nationhood, we should continue and be relentless about it, because if we don't, I fear that we will spiral downwards into a society of chaos. Are we happy to report because of the sensationalism that goes with these stories, or we are reporting to tell a story?
Ms. Nkrumah noted that democracy the country is enjoying cannot be sustainable if the media fails to play its active role of civic education. Media practitioner and private legal practitioner Samson Ladi Ayenene blamed the media for failing to educate the public on their civic rights. He said it is about time the media assists the NCCE to execute its mandate well rather than emphasizing on partisan politics.
Ensuring that we have a society whose democracy will be sustained. We have a society where everybody will know their responsibilities and their duties. We have a society where people will have respect for the rule of law. We have a society where people will know that littering on the street, littering is a crime and it is punished.
The EU-sponsored workshop aimed at reminding and refreshing the skills of journalists to report responsibly. It is also to enhance media reportage on civil activities to enable the public make informed decisions.
You're still watching Midday Live on TV3. We're back with business after this break. Don't go away. Welcome back from the break. You're still watching Midday Live on TV3. Time now to do some stories in the world of business. And a financial consultant, Dr. Ebenezer Ashley, has called on government to ensure that loans contracted are used productively. Dr. Ashley said there should be proper accountability for loans contracted, judicious and diligent disbursement of contracted funds to ensure equitable socio-institutional development.
Analysts expect the central bank to reinforce the exchange rate policy and liquidity management efforts to the local currency. They further stress that government must make conscientious efforts to shift from the old paradigm of borrowing short to pay short to borrowing long to pay short. Speaking at a debt sustainability forum organized by the Institute of Chartered Economists Ghana, Dr. Ebenezer Ashley said debt sustainability must be defined to include the government's ability to use contracted loans for the purposes they were intended for, to accelerate economic development and growth, and to ease repayment at the due dates.
So if you want to go in for loan and to say to provide some development projects in up north, and we use the funds for the development of the Northern Territory, it means by the time we are to pay the loans, those projects would have indirectly helped the government to raise funds to pay for the loan.
He urged government to create a more fiscal space and less financial opening for borrowing, and that creating more fiscal space should not necessarily whet the nation's financial appetite for borrowing.
The government must make conscientious effort to pay off the debts with the domestic financial institutions to free up borrowing space for the private sector. It will help reduce the crowding out effect considerably.
He said governments must ensure relative stability of the cedi against major currencies such as the British pound sterling, the euro and the American dollar to avert the possibility of issuing more cedis to settle the same outstanding debts at maturity dates.
Away from the city, the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications, Kenneth Ashigbe, wants government to expedite its promise of transacting all of its payment electronically. He said this will further bring down the charges for consumers using the mobile money interoperability service in the country.
Interoperability is a means by which mobile money transactions can be effected directly across different mobile networks. The new mechanism is expected to eliminate unofficial charges by some merchants, as well as the stress and the cost of moving from agent to the other to effect a transfer to a different network. This again is expected to promote the growth of the mobile money industry and as well as promote financial inclusion. However, some consumers have expressed fear that the charge of 1.5% for interoperability transactions will be a drawback for the aim of achieving financial inclusion with the technology. Speakers at Accra Speaks, an event that discusses topical issues affecting the development of the country, expressed diverse opinions on the issue. The CEO of the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications, Ken Ashigbe, said the current charges does not pose a threat to financial inclusion.
Instead of using mobile money currently as a money transfer system, we will create a merchant payment system, an ecosystem where we will trade. And then when that happens, it would bring the cost further down. We'll get a lot more people involved in the financial inclusion net.
At the moment, we believe that the charges are reasonable, but it's an area that has to be supervised so that outrageous charges are not charged customers.
No, Ghana happens to be one of the lowest priced countries when it comes to mobile money, actually.
when you compare it to Tanzania, which is a market at its equivalent now, Niger, Cote d'Ivoire, where even when you're doing cash-ins, sometimes there are costs for a certain level, but in Ghana it's free. And so clearly on a regional level in sub-Saharan Africa, Ghana is not an expensive country when it comes to mobile money.
Within a week after the launch of mobile money interoperability, the platform recorded over 22,000 successful transfers at a value of over 1.8 million cedis.
Now, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta has given a strong indication of possibly introducing new taxes during the mid-year budget review. The Finance Ministry over the past months indicated the need to review these tax measures to make more responsive to current trends. The ministry also argued that the review should help address challenges with revenue mobilization.
Speaking to journalists on the sidelines of the second African Transformation Forum in Accra, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta said all options are still on the table in terms of reviewing the current revenue measures. Responding to whether or not the government would be introducing new taxes, he indicated that there is a likelihood some taxes will be introduced since many don't file their tax returns, a situation which he says is depriving government of the needed revenue to finance development.
It's now to open up the books and say, okay, where do we want to go? What do we need to pay for? And therefore, how do we reframe our tax system or means of collecting revenue so we go ahead? So I don't really want to look at it as an imposition from me, but in we sitting down and saying, okay, where are we going? And what should we do? And that, in a stronger, socially stable environment, is how business thrives.
He admitted that leakages in revenue mobilization is still a major challenge for government.
When we talk about revenue mobilization or leakages, who is creating that problem? And I think that problem or issue is being created by ourselves. And so how do we as a people begin to acknowledge that and be personally responsible for protecting the public purse? And
some of the country's donor partners and the IMF are currently mounting pressure on the government to come up with a more sustainable way of dealing with the revenue shortfalls by increasing taxes.
That's all for business. We have more stories after this break. Don't go away. Welcome back from the break. Let's do some politics now. The National Democratic Congress, NDC, is holding its constituency elections across the country. Though pockets of constituencies might not hold elections due to varied issues, the party is upbeat about a smooth election. Our reporter Eric Yao-Ej joins us on the phone lines. Good afternoon to you, Eric.
Good afternoon.
So, Eric, tell us, where are you and what can you report?
Thank you very much. I'm currently at Daboase in the Wasai district, where some members of the opposition National Democratic Congress will very soon elect executives to steer the affairs of the constituency for the next 4 years. Now, if you come to the Wasa East constituency of the NDC, where I am currently stationed, we have a total of 1,082 delegates who are going to participate in the elections, and they are going to vote for some 36 aspirants. The voting was supposed to have commenced around 10 o'clock, but as I speak to you, voting has not commenced. I'm told that what the arrangement was that they wanted all the aspirants to be seated. They wanted them to go through the list of the delegates before they can commence the voting. But some of the aspirants did not come to the venue on time, and that is the reason why the voting has not started. And if you indulge me, in the Western region, there are 26 constituencies that is going to participate in the election, but unfortunately, the election is going to come up in only 24. That of Amenfi Central and Wasa Amenfi Central and Wasa Amenfi East has been suspended. If you go to Wasa Amenfi Central, I'm told that the election was suspended only last night at about 9 o'clock p.m. I'm told that the election committee could not secure buses to convey the delegates to the voting grounds, and that is the reason why the election was suspended. If you go to the Wasa Amenfi East, I'm told that some months ago when there was the vetting exercise, the current vice chairman, Nana Akuchi, who wants to vie for the position of the chairman, was prevented from participating in the vetting exercise by some members at the grounds where the vetting was going on. So he couldn't actually, he wasn't vetted. So he made a complaint to the regional office, and the regional office also sent that complaint to the national office, and the national office suspended the election in the Amenfi East Central. Where I am currently, I've seen about 15 policemen who are here to ensure that everything is in order. The National Communications Officer for the party, Solomon Nkanza, is around, and the Member of Parliament for the area is also around. If you come to the southern part of the Western region, there are only 2 NDC members of Parliament in the south, and that is the Wasa East and Elembele. So currently, the Member of Parliament for Wasa East is around, and I've seen him going around greeting some of the delegates. And so far, that is what I can report. But if you have time, the Member of Parliament is around, and I'll be taking his thoughts about today's exercise. Good afternoon, Abu.
Good afternoon.
Election was supposed to have started 10 o'clock. Currently, it is just about starting. Have you been told what is causing the delay? I'm told that it is because of some arrangement that didn't go well.
The election started when the car, started bringing people. We've already started. I'm saying this because we are a rural environment. You need to cut workers from the villages and bringing them. The moment they arrived here, the program has started.
What kind of election are you envisaging today?
No, we have a district conference. I'm envisaging and expecting peaceful, all-encompassing and more organized and more, united NDC conference.
Okay, Eric, I think that should do for now. We'll come back to you in our subsequent bulletin, so we take full update on how the election has gone or has been so far. That was our Western Regional Correspondent Eric Yawede updating us on the NDC constituency elections in the Western region. This is still Midday Live on TV3. Let's go to Ethiopia, where Ethiopian officials say scores of people have been injured, some critically, in an explosion at a rally for the new Prime Minister, Abiy Ahmed. Earlier, Mr. Abiy Ahmed had said that several people had died. Mr. Abiy described it as an unsuccessful attempt by forces who do not want to see Ethiopia united. He was whisked away immediately after the blast, thought to be from a grenade thrown amid thousands of people in Addis Ababa Meskel Square. Elsewhere in the U.S., the Navy is reportedly planning to build sprawling immigrant detention centers on military bases amid a Trump crackdown at the U.S.-Mexico border. A draft memo obtained by Time magazine outlines plans to build astute fence camps to house 25,000 migrants.
The memo says the camps would be built on abandoned airfields in California, Alabama, and Arizona. The memo says another camp near San Francisco is being designed for as many as 47,000 people. A Pentagon spokesperson said the military had not been asked by the Department for Homeland Security to draw up the specific plans, but was engaging in prudent planning should the DHS ask for assistance in housing adult illegal immigrants. The U.S. military said on Thursday it had been asked by the government to get ready to house up to 20,000 immigrant children. The Navy memo estimates the force would spend $233 million to run a facility for 25,000 people for 6 months. A decision by the administration to criminally prosecute every migrant crossing the U.S.-Mexico border led to some 2,300 children being separated from their parents in May and June and sparked a global wave of outrage. President Donald Trump eventually backed down in the face of overwhelming public pressure and signed an order to halt the family separations, but he insisted he remained committed to his zero-tolerance policy. The sudden surge in immigrant detentions created by Mr. Trump's policy has strained various government departments, including Justice, Homeland Security, Defense and Health and Human Services. Migrant children taken from their parents are being held in facilities run by the Department of Health and Human Services. Images from one facility in a converted Walmart sparked outrage earlier this week when they showed children held in wire mesh cages sleeping on mats with foil blankets. A DHS official said on Thursday that about 500 children had been reunited with their families since separations began in May, but rights groups remain concerned that there is not adequate information to return many young children to their parents. On Friday, Mr. Trump brought the parents of victims of murders by undocumented immigrants to the White House, where he signed photographs of their late children and invited them to tell their stories.
Let's do entertainment. And the president of the Ghana Association of Songwriters, GSA, has warned that the association will clamp down on the use of vulgar lyrical content. The Ghana Association of Songwriters is a cooperative effort by individual songwriters in Ghana to help increase royalty rates and educate members about the business of songwriting.
Which is the Ghana Association of Songwriters, is to advance, promote, and benefit the profession of songwriters. So we know that once you're a songwriter, you actually stand to benefit what's in there. And the second point is that it is also set to set the standard for which protection of songwriters' rights would be.
Speaking at the launch, executive member of the Musicians Union of Ghana, Musica, Daddy Bosco, commended the leadership of the organization and pledged the support of Musica.
I'd like to assure the Ghana Association of Songwriters of our utmost support and collaboration. In life, some people ask, why is this thing not like that? Some people complain, this thing should have been done. And other people do what has to be done. And it's on that note that I'll invite everybody here to celebrate the leadership of the Ghana Association of Songwriters.
Music producer and CEO of Greater David Communications, Emmanuel Barnes, added the association will sanitize lyrical content.
And I understand the need for clean songs, because I believe music impacts on the people's mind a lot. It's either corrupts or it's elevate, entertain, and educate. And recently we've had so many bad songs than good songs. And sometimes I look at the future, what would these kids coming up say about us?
Good news there for the music industry, and that's how we end Midday Live on TV3. Came to you live from our studios here at Adesawe Kanda. My name is Grace Hamwa Asari. Log on to 3news.com for some more stories. Enjoy the rest of our programs.